What's up, my Metaverse family? So as I'm sure a lot of you guys have been hearing, there's been quite a bit of buzz about the Metaverse recently. And as I introduce my videos with welcome Metaverse family, it seems like it's starting to break into common discussion, or maybe I'm just super weird. But one thing is very true, and that's that digital worlds are getting more realistic and blockchains are allowing actual ownership to exist in these digital worlds, which when you give people real ownership and allow them to interact with decentralized applications or in worlds where they can be anything, do anything, and have it actually benefit them financially in real life, all of a sudden the possibilities explode and become ginormous. In fact, Morgan Stanley recently reported that the metaverse is an $8 trillion total addressable market, which means that there are going to be some massive companies that come up in the metaverse, and I would even argue that that estimation is too small. Now, in this video, I want to explain to you guys how you might best be able to take advantage of this new change, this new swing that's happening, and hopefully profit and make some money off of the metaverse's creation. So in this video, we're going to be diving into this very interesting topic about the future of the way that we live and shop and interact and play, and the way that a lot of investors make money as well is going to be changing because of the metaverse. So if this video sounds interesting to you, remember to drop a big thumbs up on it, as that will help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And then if this is the first video that you have seen, make sure you're hitting subscribe and clicking that notification bell so that you do not miss future content. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. On-chain gaming. Very quickly, this video is sponsored by BlockFi, and BlockFi is actually running a promotion right now through our on-chain gaming link, where if you set up an interest account with BlockFi, you can get up to $250 in crypto for free. And I actually really like BlockFi and use it myself because I get incredible interest rates. I think on stable coins like US dollar coin, US dollar tether, you can get over 8% APY, which is way better than you're going to get in the traditional finance industry. And then BlockFi also has a really cool Bitcoin rewards credit card, which gives you Bitcoin back on every purchase. So definitely check out that link down below and get your $250 in free crypto. Now let's talk about the metaverse. So I made a tweet recently that Metaverse 1.0 meant any digital created virtual world. And I think that that means both gaming worlds and social media worlds like Facebook and Twitter, I think are a metaverse in and of themselves. But what is happening now and what is so revolutionary, and this is important to understand because you have to understand what's changing in order to be able to successfully invest in it if you want to make money in this space. And what's happening now is Metaverse 2.0, and Metaverse 2.0 will mean real ownership in digital worlds through NFTs on blockchains. And this technology, like the technology side of this, you really don't have to understand. You just have to understand what it means for consumers and why it's going to be big. And you do have to understand how it works as a consumer, like when you're testing these blockchains and doing research on what actual development is happening on different blockchains so that you can make sure that you pick the right ones. And we're definitely going to be covering some specific blockchains in this video. So you do have to do research, but you really don't need to understand on a developer level how these blockchains work. Like, you don't need to know how to import your C++ project onto Phantasma chain in order to successfully invest in these projects, but you do have to do research on these projects. So I want to say that I am not a financial advisor, and what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video is meant to spark your research and give you a starting place where if you hear something interesting, you can dive in deeper yourself and do your own research before you decide to buy or invest in anything. Now, the tweet continued, Metaverse 3.0 will be real immersion through high-tech VR or Neuralink. And that is a topic more for another video. But the important thing I wanted to note on this is that Metaverse 3.0 is still going to be running off of the blockchains that were created in this current revolution that's happening now of Metaverse 2.0. So in the intro, I already mentioned that Morgan Stanley believes the metaverse is an $8 trillion market, but just so you guys know how massive that is, like compared to the current metaverse market of Metaverse 1.0, if we look at how big the gaming market is today, in 2020, it was only $173 billion. So compared to 8 trillion, $173 billion is almost nothing. Now, I have to say that is still quite a lot. Like gaming is bigger than movies and music combined, but gaming is still small compared to what the metaverse is going to cause it to eventually become. Now, gaming even without blockchains is growing very fast, about 10% a year, and it's expected to be a $316 billion industry by 2026. Now, because of the blockchain, because of Metaverse 2.0, this is very, very false. It's going to be much, much bigger than that, much quicker in my opinion, but this is what was predicted just currently based off of the current growth of gaming without real ownership and without real value being able to go to players and people in these virtual worlds. Now, this video is titled that the blockchains that are powering the metaverse are going to be worth trillions, and I really believe that. I mean, if the metaverse's total addressable market is like 8 trillion a year, then you have to believe that the market caps of some of these companies and some of the plumbing that literally keeps the metaverse running and gives people the ability to earn and own inside these worlds have to be worth a ton. And just to give you guys an example of this under $200 billion gaming market, what market cap some of these companies have, if we look like the top 9 gaming companies from Microsoft to Activision Blizzard almost have a $4 trillion market cap together in an industry that only has a total addressable market. Now, Microsoft, some of these obviously do a lot of things outside of gaming as well, so this is not a perfect comparison, but the market in gaming is relatively small, but these companies are worth a lot more. And actually, I think that these companies like Microsoft's 2.5 or $2.6 trillion market cap is probably actually comparable to what Ethereum is going to be doing, because Ethereum, the metaverse, is not only going to be gaming what it is today, but it's going to be so much more. It's going to be shopping, socializing, it's going to be like training, it's going to be a lot of things. And when there's entire virtual economies that exist in the metaverse, there is just going to be a lot more GDP than people realize. Gross domestic product volume traded in these worlds and sales and profits that are taken here. So let's look at the current state of blockchains today. What are they currently valued, and kind of what are the biggest blockchains, and what might be a good investment if you want to take advantage of this massive multi-trillion dollar metaverse market that is being created. Now, it's important to note that a blockchain, what it sells are blocks, and essentially a block, you can think of it as a transaction. So a blockchain is essentially like a decentralized public ledger where in a bunch of different places you can see where every Ethereum is, for example, at any given time. And any time that someone wants to trade something from themselves to someone else, or like not even the currency, but it can be an NFT that represents something else as well. But anytime a trade is made, a block needs to confirm that transaction, and a block can contain a bunch of different transactions. But once it's confirmed, then the public ledger updates for everyone, and bam, that's how we have a decentralized currency and proof of ownership. So what a blockchain sells is those block transactions. Now, the metaverse is going to have a ton of transactions because people are going to be trading stuff all the time. If you think about a video game being run on the blockchain, people are dropping items, picking up items, selling items to each other, and all of those transactions are going to be run on the blockchain. So you think about the total potential volume that is going to exist on blockchains like 10 years from now across the metaverse, it's going to be absolutely insane. And blockchains are able to get some of the value through fees on block transactions out of the metaverse. And these fees are eventually going to become much, much smaller than Ethereum's fees are now. And I believe they're going to be much, much smaller than they currently are in the traditional finance industry. So I think it's going to be good for everyone, but it's important to know if you're thinking about buying a blockchain or a smart chain coin, a governance token, it's important to know exactly what the product is that you're now owning and how that product is going to be able to generate value for you in the future. Now, Ethereum, these aren't the same as stocks, and this comparison is very blurry, and the regulatory stuff is all very blurry. So yeah, it is important to remember though that these blockchains are not stocks and they shouldn't be looked at the same way. All right, so what are these biggest blockchains that you can currently buy today? Well, Ethereum is the #2 crypto and the #1 smart chain, and it is currently worth $484 billion. So let's just say around $500 billion, which is a lot smaller than the biggest gaming company currently, Microsoft, which is honestly a lot more than gaming, but it is very, very substantial now for something that is very future looking. Ethereum right now does have a ton of development happening on it, and now there's layer 2 solutions on top of Ethereum, and like there are hundreds, probably thousands of different companies that are getting formed on top of Ethereum, and that is why it has such a crazy market cap. And honestly, if you're looking out long term and looking at all of the development that's happening on Ethereum, who cares if we're in a bubble now or not in a bubble now? 10 years from now, Ethereum is probably going to be worth a hell of a lot more than it's worth right now. Even if Ethereum does lose a lot of market cap, which it has been losing a lot of market cap this year and last year because of its crazy high fees and how slowly it's been moving to Ethereum 2.0, which is going to fix a lot of these issues, but it has allowed a lot of users to migrate and a lot of development that would have possibly gone on Ethereum to go on other chains that we'll be looking at here in a second. So Ethereum has been losing some market cap, but as the entire market is just expanding so massively, even if Ethereum did drop from like 80% or 70%, whatever amount of development market cap it has now, even if that dropped a lot to like 10%, I think Ethereum would still be worth far more than it is today when we're looking many years out with such a massive total addressable market that is going to exist. And the metaverse is only one part of what will run on Ethereum. And I think decentralized finance and all that will honestly be kind of part of the metaverse. But what the metaverse is going to continually expand, and it's kind of going to start mixing with reality in a lot of ways. So now the second biggest smart crypto or smart chain is Solana currently. And Solana has had a ton of buzz recently, and actually very recently moved into the #2 smart chain. And the reason it's been having so much buzz is because it is very fast and very cheap, and the team has been bringing on so many different development projects. And you have games like Star Atlas launching on Solana. Also, this chain has a lot of big backing from well-respected investors, and that really increases confidence as well. Now, Solana is not even close to as decentralized as Ethereum is right now. Currently, you're kind of giving up some decentralization in order to have this speed and cost efficiency, but Solana does hope to become more decentralized in the future. So you're kind of making a bet between Ethereum and Solana. Like, do we just go Ethereum now, like just stay decentralized now and trust we will slowly be able to get faster and cheaper? Or do you go faster and cheaper now and hope we can eventually get decentralized? That's kind of the dilemma that we're having. But yeah, Solana currently has a $61 billion market cap. Now we're going to start moving a little bit faster here, but coming in at #3, we have Cardano, or ADA. I like to call it ADA, but people in the comments always complain when I call ADA ADA. But yeah, fully diluted valuation is $82 billion. And also I should note, Solana does have a higher fully diluted valuation once you think about current non-circulating supply that's eventually going to get introduced. But ADA, I've never really been that big of a fan of, although to be honest, I haven't really looked into it super deeply just because I've always like thought about Cardano as the chain that is like promising so much, but you can actually do so little on. But this is slowly changing over time as Cardano has successfully introduced more and more things. And now Cardano is a pretty well-working smart chain, which is going to have a lot of development on it. Next up, we have Polkadot, and eventually here I'm going to start missing some of these and just talking about ones that I specifically want to look at. But yeah, Polkadot is worth 42 million. Then we have Flow. Flow is actually created by the creators of CryptoKitties and is currently what's running NBA Top Shots. It is worth $3.7 billion, but fully diluted, it's actually worth quite a bit more than that. You can see that it currently only only has 300 million of its circulating supply, but the total supply is 1.3 billion. So the actual market cap, like fully diluted market cap of Flow, I think is like closer to $20 billion, not $3.7 billion. So it's a little bit deceptive just because there's so much more flow that can be sold to the market. Next, we have Wax, which Wax is worth 1.6 billion, fully diluted 3.3 billion, and there's actually quite a bit of trading on Wax. Wax is pretty cheap. It is a go-to place for a lot of people to trade and buy NFTs, and there's a lot of games getting built on Wax as well. And guys, you just have to like look into these coins, look into these chains, go to the websites, read what partnerships are happening, look at what development is happening, and you kind of just compare which of these chains is undervalued compared to the amount of development that's actually happening on them compared to the total potential that they have. And a lot of these chains have similar total addressable markets that are just absolutely ginormous. It does make some of these smaller chains look kind of attractive as far as investing goes, but you have to remember, in order for these chains to actually have long-term value, they have to actually be doing a lot of block transactions. And in order for a lot of block transactions to happen, there actually has to be users using the chain. And in order for that to happen, there has to be real development. There has to be real products on the chain that people want to use. But one successful game, just one popular game, I think can absolutely make a chain successful, because people start downloading the wallet for that chain and they start using it, and bam, all of a sudden you have users on a chain, and then that brings more developers, and it's kind of a spiral effect of success if one thing does really start to take off. So the last chain I want to talk about here before we kind of sum up everything we've been explaining and give you guys some real useful information on like what you should do now based on all of this information. The last chain I wanted to look at is Phantasma, which is Sol. Now, one thing you'll notice is this coin is much smaller market cap than all of these other coins which were mentioned, which all of these smart chains are in the hundreds of billions or tens of billions, but in the billions nonetheless. And Phantasma is currently worth $176 million, which this is like a small cap smart chain as far as smart chains go. But the reason I want to talk about this one is because I've recently been using this chain a lot, actually, because they have a ghost marketplace, very cheap fees, almost free to be honest. They're super fast, but Phantasma is actually carbon negative because it takes like 1,000 times less energy to do a transaction through Phantasma than it does to send a tweet. And then they have a partnership with a company that helps them be carbon negative because they take some of each transaction fee, send it to that company, which then plants trees to more than offset the actual energy cost of what Phantasma chain does. So a carbon negative blockchain for the metaverse sounds really exciting to me, and I feel like this is kind of undervalued here compared to the number of projects that are also developing on Phantasma. Now, I think the Phantasma team needs to do a much better job, actually like more active in their recruiting of developers. I think if they were far more active recruiting developers, there could be even more cool stuff being built on this chain. I think that the actual usefulness and technology of this chain is super underrated. They have smart NFTs, which are way better than the NFTs that are currently on Ethereum and Solana and Cardano and Polkadot. And the smart NFTs like allow you to like upgrade weapons and stuff on chain, because you can like change part of the NFT, even though another part of the NFT is static, just like a normal NFT. So Phantasma actually has really cool technology and almost no market cap, but there's some cool games getting developed on Phantasma as well through the Pavilion Hub. But yeah, I would really love to see some more development on the Phantasma chain, because that would make me super confident in this chain. And this chain has the potential to like 100x or something like that. And when you're looking at the total addressable market that this chain, even if it got like 1% of the market share or 0.5% of the market share of an $8 trillion total addressable market, there's a lot of upside. But let's give some closing thoughts here, because one thing that has kind of been in the back of my mind a little bit as people have been like clicking these videos about how to become a millionaire through the metaverse a lot of new people have been finding my channel through a video I made about how buying land in the metaverse metaverse can make you a millionaire. And it's important to note that even though all of these blockchains that I mentioned today, which by the way, currently only have like a little over a $600 billion market cap compared to that almost 4 trillion of current gaming companies, when the total addressable market here is much bigger than the total addressable market of only gaming, although that is growing through Metaverse 2.0 and blockchain, and it's all gonna kind of come together in a huge collage. But even though all of these blockchains are definitely going to be much higher, well, not all of them, some of them are going to be much higher in the long run. Some could fail. That is definitely a possibility that you guys do need to realize when you're deciding on what you're going to invest in, especially risky assets like cryptocurrency. Make sure the teams that are running these blockchains are currently developing, either make sure that they're already decentralized, the chains, or that the teams are very committed. But this can run too much. It is possible that we get to a point where like the excitement gets too ferocious, kind of like how we had with the .com crash, where yes, .com companies have been far more successful, I think, than people even believe they could be in that .com crash. But what happened is the excitement, even though the potential was actually there, the excitement ran past what current revenue generation was, what current usership actually was, and that caused this massive crash to happen. Even though the potential was there, the revenue wasn't there yet. So it's important that investors don't get too excited about the metaverse opportunity and buy into a bubble, because there will be crashes in cryptocurrency. There already have been crashes in cryptocurrency, but I think because of the real opportunity that is here, like even if you owned Amazon before the .com crash, like yeah, it sucked to hold through that, but now you're so much better off than even if you bought at the top of the .com bubble. Now, not every single company made it, and that is important to know. And I already did say that, yeah, not every single blockchain is going to get the traction it needs to really be successful and really take off, but there's a ton of opportunity here. And I think a lot of these blockchains, even now getting in 2021 or 2022, are going to make a lot of millionaires. The metaverse is going to make so many millionaires, and the metaverse is going to run on a lot of these different chains because there are real products already getting developed on these different chains. So there's going to be real users, and I don't think it's going to be one of these things where Ethereum has the entire market cap. I think that Ethereum could keep a significant portion of the market cap, but also a lot of these other chains are going to and already have been getting a lot of traction and a lot of developers. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that a lot of companies are going to be building their own chains because they're going to want to capture that value of each block confirmation. So like, I would not be surprised if Facebook, they're going to try to build their own smart chain. Gala Games, they're trying to build their own smart chain to run a lot of the games on that platform. So there is going to be a lot of competition in this space as well, as long as you're doing research on what is actually happening on the blockchains that you're invested in, and you are confident that the total addressable market of what is being built is bigger than the current market cap of the blockchain now, then it's probably a good investment long term. But if you start to see the market cap way exceed what's actually happening on the chain, then it's probably time, take some profits. Maybe there's going to be a crash later and you can buy way more of that chain in the future. But also, I am a big advocate of long-term investing and not trying to time the market. So like, I personally have quite a bit of my Ethereum. Actually, most of my Ethereum is staked to Ethereum 2.0, which means I can't even withdraw it if I wanted to. I'm just getting that yield, that Ethereum 2.0 yield. And when Ethereum 2.0 finally drops, then I'll finally be able to use that Ethereum again. But I just have it invested as a long-term investor. I don't need to touch it. I know there's going to be ups and downs, but I am invested in the metaverse for the long term, and I believe I'm going to be very well rewarded for that. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you enjoyed all the things that we talked about and all this information, I appreciate you guys leaving a big thumbs up on your way out. And also, if you watch this whole video and you're still not subscribed, what are you doing? Make sure you hit subscribe and click that notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. My name is Jake. You've been watching On-Chain Gaming. I'm not making these videos by myself. My brother Nate edits these videos. Our friend Josh does the original intro and outro music and also all of the sound design. And yeah, we really appreciate your guys' support. Thank you, Patreon supporters. Your guys' support is so much appreciated. And until next time, everyone, have fun roaming the metaverse.